This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
I'm all ready to go. Okay, are we going to do this? We're going to talk Black Panther?
We are now.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 202 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Wow! I mean, this is our first black superhero that we get in a feature film. I think that's pretty crazy to me.
Now, Black Panther, I believe, is to 2018 what Wonder Woman was to 2017.
It's time to meet Ray in May at Launch Bay.
If everybody cared about their jobs as much as that guy cares about telling stories and making films, this world would be a better place.
So the closest I got to Black Panther was probably putting some kind of animal costume on my Barbie dolls.
I think the tagline for this film should be Sharesy Daresy.
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland.
Here we go.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets learned. It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Neverland that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers! Hey, how many of you out there have been waiting since the mid-1990s for a Black Panther movie? Even if you've just been waiting since Captain America Civil War, then you won't want to miss this Black Panther Special. But now, let's first welcome you to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars, Marvel, and Disney fandom. I am Richard Wolosky, but everyone please say hello to my kitty cat sweetie wife, Sarah.
Kitty cat, I'm a panther. Rawr!
You are a Black Panther.
I'm a Black Panther. I got the outfit on. I got my sweet Black Panther necklace. I know. I call it a necklace. Well, it is a necklace actually in the film. It's a necklace. Yay! So guess what? We want to give you a warm and Black Panther-y Wookiee hug. Does that work?
We'll make it work for this episode.
To our family of Skywalkers. So thank you everyone for listening to the show every week. We want to welcome you if this is the very first time you're listening. Rawr, Black Panther Show. Now, we also want to give a big shout out to our Sky Tubers and face huggers who are watching us live on YouTube and Facebook. Every week we go live at least once, and we invite you to comment on the show, and we love it. So you can tweet at us also while you listen. We are at Skywalking Pod, and we just love it when you share in our joy and our adventure through fandom. And Skywalkers, we're almost to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think we have 988 subscribers. So if you're hearing this right now and you want to give us just a little bump and you want to enter to win a Black Panther Funko Pop, because we're actually doing this, it's a Black Panther Funko Pop.
As seen right here on YouTube and Facebook.
It is the Warrior Falls version. So he has this cool version of armor on. And so basically right now, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Skywalking Through Neverland, you will be entered to win this Funko Pop and this Black Panther movie logo Marvel hat.
Baseball cap.
It's a baseball cap.
Yeah, it is.
How awesome is that? It's black and it's got the logo of the film on it and embroidered on it. It's pretty amazing. So that is an extra incentive.
So more on that in just a little bit.
Woohoo!
We are recording this from Long Beach, California on February the 14th, 2018.
What? February the 14th?
Happy Valentine's Day, Skywalkers!
Woohoo!
I love you.
I love you.
I happen to like nice men.
I like the sound of that.
I thought that we had decided not to fall in love.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
I love you.
If money is all that you love, then that's what you'll receive.
Go on, unkissed it.
Who knew that Black Panther and Valentine's Day went together so well? They just do.
It's a perfect date movie. See,
right?
Well, it's coming out in just a couple of days now.
You know what I think it is?
What?
Pink goes very well with black.
Yep. Yep. Let's now segue. Hey, you know, speaking of Valentine's Day.
Yes?
Do you recall our first Valentine's Day together?
Of course I do, because, and this is kind of a sad story, but when I met you, Richard, I had never had a proper Valentine's Day.
Aww.
And that's not to say I didn't date people before you, but we always broke up in January, and it sucked.
Those guys.
I know.
Guys always do that.
I know. So it was terrible. So I never, ever, ever had a Valentine's Day I always had a Galentine's Day, you know.
Stupid guys.
I know. So for our Valentine's Day, I had told you this, of course, and so you really pulled out all the stops. I was so excited. At work, it was a work day. I think it was a Tuesday. I got flowers delivered to me at work, and they were from my sweetie. And then I I left work at noon, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And then we met at Disneyland, and we had a half a Disney day. And then when we got to your place, because we weren't living together, oh no.
Oh, what did we do at Disneyland?
Duh. We went to Steakhouse 55 and had a lovely, I guess, early dinner.
Yes,
I think it was
we
an
did.
early dinner. Yeah. It was amazing. And then you also gave me a huge heart-shaped box of chocolates. And you gave me like a rose at dinner. And also what else? Chocolates and flowers and a gift too on top of that. So you got the dinner, you gave me a gift, you gave me the heart-shaped chocolate chocolates. Oh my gosh.
Was that the time when I gave you your first iPod?
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
Yeah, so you really did it up right. You made up for those 24 years that I had not had a proper Valentine's Day.
Those stupid guys.
23 years. Yes, I know.
Yeah, I was like a major investor in Hallmark and See's Candy that year.
I know. Yeah, it was so cool.
I want to make sure that you got the Valentine's Day my sweetie wife deserves.
Yeah, I had an awesome time.
And that was a fantastic Valentine's Day circa 2006.
Yay!
And now it's time for Minnie to tell us what time it is.
It's 11:11. Good morning.
Thanks, Minnie. Now, Sarah, tell everyone else what it's time for.
It's time to meet Ray in May at Launch Bay in Disneyland. Woohoo! That doesn't rhyme, but the rest of it did.
So beginning in May, you'll have a chance to meet Ray at Disneyland inside of the Launch Bay overpriced gift shop. Where you can also meet Kylo Ren, Chewbacca, Darth Vader, but now you can meet Ray.
Now, I'm wondering if they're going to get rid of one of the Kylo Ren or Chewbacca, but we'll see.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure they'll get rid of Chewbacca and put Ray in.
No, you can't get rid of Chewbacca.
No?
Because of Solo.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be a big draw in May.
Yeah?
So, I'm going to guess that they're going to do this during the launch of Solo: A Star Wars Story around the Memorial Day, May 25th weekend. And if Disney does it right, which I'm sure they will, they'll have a big marketing splash.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Now, this news came out yesterday, and I was watching Twitter, and Disneyland also tweeted that they were looking for Ray lookalikes, and Josh Gad retweeted it and said, well, I'm a Ray lookalike, so Josh Gad, we may see him as Ray.
You know, well, we'll see, but still excited. I'm sure we'll be there the first day and meet Ray and Chewbacca with his new bandolier.
Woohoo!
All right.
Also, hold on YouTube, I want to read. Jeressa says, Happy Valentine's Day to the both of you. My boyfriend Mike and I always enjoy watching and listening to your podcast and videos. Aw.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, now, Sarah, with that,
yes,
let's tell everyone what's coming up on this big Black Panther episode.
Well, I think we're going to talk a little Black Panther. What do you think?
It says it right there in the title. It's right there in the title.
But we are going to give you complete coverage on the latest MCU film coming out on February 16th, and that is Black Panther. And joining us will be Joseph Decklemeier from ScreenRant and That Hashtag Show. So we are excited to have a great discussion with him.
And we also have some shout-outs, as well as a reminder about that Black Panther Funko Pop / baseball cap giveaway. All right, now, before we get into our Black Panther film coverage, let's give a primer on this character who, unfortunately, many had not known even existed until he showed up in Captain America Civil War. And we'll give you an overview of the history of what it took to bring this character to the big screen.
It's so intriguing.
Boy,
in fact,
talk about development rabbit holes.
Yeah, and Richard, I'm excited to hear all this because I know you did a lot of research.
Yeah, because I'd always known the character, but knew nothing about him.
Okay.
All right, now, to start off with, Black Panther's name, when he's not the Black Panther, is T'Challa, and he is the king and protector of the African nation of Wakanda. He was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, a name you might recognize because he also created Spider-Man, the Hulk, the Avengers, the X-Men, Fantastic Four. Now, Black Panther first appeared in Fantastic Four issue number 52 in July of 1966.
Wow.
Which even predates me. But a standalone Black Panther storyline ran through issues 6 through 18 of the Jungle Action series comics, and is considered to be Marvel Comics' first graphic novel.
Wow.
And, of course, he holds the title of being the first black superhero in American mainstream comic books.
That's right. Yeah, and I believe soon after that, the Falcon was created in 1968 or 69, but Black Panther definitely was first.
Right. Now, what powers does Black Panther hold?
Okay, well, he has superhuman acute senses and enhanced strength, speed, and agility, as well as durability, healing, and reflexes. Now, in the Black Panther film, his vibranium suit actually absorbs power and then projects it back.
That is a great power.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Now, T'Challa also relies on his proficiency in science, rigorous physical training, hand-to-hand combat skills, and access to wealth and advanced technology to combat his enemies. But let's not forget, he also relies heavily on his amazing support team, including his very ultra-smart sister, Shuri.
Yeah, Shuri deals with the vibranium and is kind of the engineer and the brains behind his suit.
And she is very well characterized in the Black Panther film.
Yeah, played by Letitia Wright. But we'll get into her in a little bit.
Now, if you're wondering, why did it take so long to get the Black Panther film into production? Well, let's go through a little bit of a rabbit hole of what it did take to get this film up to the big screen.
Okay, well, first of all, how long has it taken?
Well, back in June 1992.
Oh, I was like, June what? Wow.
Wesley Snipes, who many of you know from White Man Can't Jump, the Blade series, Passenger 57, and a bunch of action-adventure films of the early 90s before he got into his IRS troubles. Now, Wesley Snipes announced his intention to make a film about Black Panther. He wanted to highlight the majesty of Africa, which he felt was poorly portrayed in Hollywood films, saying, "I think Black Panther spoke to me because he was noble, and he was the antithesis of the stereotypes presented and portrayed about Africans, African history, and the great kingdoms of Africa."
Wow.
Oh, he's got a point there. When the film had not progressed in January 1996, Stan Lee explained that he had not been pleased with the scripts for the project. I think he was gunning for a bigger cameo. And Snipes said there was some confusion among those unfamiliar with the comics, thinking that the film was about the Black Panther Party. And more about the Black Panther Party in just a few minutes, because that's really interesting. Now let's fast forward to July 1997. Black Panther was listed as part of Marvel Comics' film slate, and after a year, Corporate problems at Marvel had put the project on hold.
Wow, so 92 to 97 right now, still no Black Panther film.
All right, now let's fast forward to May of the year 2000.
Wow.
When Artisan Entertainment, who is best known for Reservoir Dogs, announced a deal with Marvel to co-produce, finance, and distribute a film based on Black Panther. All right, now we're getting somewhere.
Okay.
But, after a few more years of development, Wesley Snipes had moved on to another Marvel comic book series, Blade.
Oh.
A series I still have not seen.
No, me either.
But still, he had an interest in Black Panther. He wasn't forgetting about Black Panther. He really had a tight grip on this character and really wanted to play him. So I give him a lot of credit for that.
Okay.
Now, let's fast forward another 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
In September of 2005, Marvel chairman and CEO Avi Arad announced Black Panther as one of the 10 Marvel films that would be developed by Marvel Studios and distributed by Paramount Pictures. Okay, now let's fast forward another 2 years. In February of 2007, Kevin Feige, okay, that's a familiar name,
right?
President of production for Marvel Studios, reiterated that Black Panther was on Marvel's development slate. All right, good news. But then in October 2013, 6 years later,
wow,
Kevin Feige said, I don't know when it will be exactly, but we certainly have plans to bring Black Panther to life someday.
Wow.
Now, at this point, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they had already introduced the material vibranium
right.
in Captain America, the First Avenger.
For his shield.
Right.
Yeah, that's what his shield is made of.
So vibranium comes from Wakanda. Now they have to. Now it's pretty much written. They have to introduce the Black Panther at some point.
Absolutely.
And there had even been discussions of introducing Wakanda, Black Panther's home, to the MCU in 2010's Iron Man 2, but it was put off because Marvel didn't really have an idea of what Wakanda was going to look like. So they said, yeah, let's introduce the material, just not make a big deal about where it's from. I'm not sure why, because they could say it's from Wakanda. They could talk about it. They don't need to show Wakanda.
Yeah.
So it looks like they were trying to just figure out what was going on with Black Panther.
Okay.
Now, let's fast forward again another year. In October 2014, Kevin Feige announced that Black Panther would be released on November 3rd, 2017, with Chadwick Boseman cast in the title role.
Yay.
Now, the actor was set to portray the character in Captain America Civil War before starring in his own film.
Right.
So there's some job security. Now, by May of 2015, Marvel had discussions with Ava DuVernay.
Wow.
Who had just directed Disney's Wrinkle in Time, to direct this film. But by early July, DuVernay had passed on directing the film, explaining that Marvel has a certain way of doing things, and I think they're fantastic, and a lot of people love what they do. I love that they reached out to me, but we had some different ideas about what the story would be, and we just didn't see eye to eye. Better for me to realize that now than cite creative differences later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a very good point as a side note, that really Marvel, Lucasfilm, Disney should focus on those directors who know how to work within a franchise.
Right.
Then you're not going to get a Lord and Miller, Josh Trank debacle. Like, case in point, Matt Reeves, who did a phenomenal job directing Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
He knows how to work in a franchise, so let's get him to work on a Star Wars film. Which, by the way, he was asked at the Planet of the Apes panel I'd gone to last Friday, but he's right now busy with Batman. Well, la-di-da.
Another Batman. Wow. All right, so DuVernay passed.
She passed. You know, she didn't want to work under such tight scrutiny, but if you're going to work in a franchise, that's just what's going to happen. But it was good for her to realize that and note that before going in, rather than having to work on it, work through pre-production, then have Disney say, nah, we don't want you to do this, we want you to do that. And, you know, if you're going to hire a director, you're going to hire a director. They're not going to want to work under anyone else's guidelines.
So, meanwhile, in 2015, it still had no director. So, what happened then?
Then after the success of the Rocky spinoff Creed, Ryan Coogler was chosen as the director, and the release date was set for February 16th, 2018.
Excellent.
Now, earlier on, we had mentioned something about the Black Panther Party.
Okay.
And as a kid, I recall hearing about the Black Panther Party on the news, and I knew about the Black Panther comic book, but I had no idea one was separate from the other.
Right,
and
yeah.
This was a huge issue going into the Black Panther. Now, if you don't know about the Black Panther Party, this was a self-defense group founded in October 1966. Now, keep in mind that the Black Panther was introduced, the superhero, in July of 1966.
Okay, so the comic book was
first.
Was first.
Yes. And the group was formed really to monitor the behavior of the Oakland Police Department, who had unfortunately misused their authority during the Civil Rights era. So the Black Panther Party was the police for the police.
Now, where's Oakland?
California.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
yeah.
California.
Yeah, that is the home of Mark Hamill. As a side note.
Okay, wow.
Then, in 1969, the Black Panther Party focused a lot of their attention on community social programs like health clinics and free breakfast for children. So a lot of inner city programs were created by the Black Panther Party.
Okay. Yeah, this is interesting. When I was writing my article about the Black Panther Press Conference and looking for photos for the film, so I could share within our coverage, I searched Black Panther, and all these black and white photos from the 1960s popped up, and I was like, what is this? And I actually had to specify Black Panther film or Black Panther movie when searching images. So I thought that was amusing.
And that was very, very confusing for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Stan Lee said that the name was inspired by a pulp adventure hero who has a Black Panther as a helper.
Wow, I wonder how long ago that was.
I'm guessing pre-1966. Now, to avoid confusion, the character briefly tried using the name Black Leopard to avoid any kind of connotations with the Black Panther Party, but the new name did not work out.
Aww.
Black Leopard. Black Panther.
Yeah, it doesn't have quite the same ring, I guess.
No, not at all. Not at all. And once again, as a kid, I was really confused as to why this superhero kept appearing on the news. And wait a minute, those people are not wearing superhero costumes.
This is reminding me of when I actually went to a library to do research in the 90s. I went to the main central library in Austin, and I was looking up Star Wars on microfiche and microfilm. And you know what popped up?
Yes.
The 1980s Reagan Star
era.
Wars,
yes.
Whatever the heck that was.
The defense system.
Yes, I was so annoyed. I'm like, I want to look up Star Wars, and all this stupid political stuff keeps popping up.
Oh, every day on the Boston Globe, they would print big headlines, Star Wars defense system, and they would post a Star Wars still from the movie, which meant I had to buy it.
Right. And then you'd read the article and be like, what is happening?
That's when Lucas said, hey, guys, put the brakes on this. And, that wasn't Reagan. Reagan never, going off on a tangent here, but Reagan never named it Star Wars.
It was the
press.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, we need a catchy name. How about Star Wars?
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, back to Black Panther.
Yes.
If you look him up on Wikipedia, there's a picture of one of the original costumes.
Wow.
It almost looks like if Lando Calrissian was a superhero.
Yes.
This is what he would look like with a black and red cape and a yellow torso unitard.
Yeah, unitard.
With silver legs and arms.
And yellow striped gloves.
Booties. Gloves and booties.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he's got the red and black cape. Like, wow.
Could you imagine being a bad guy being confronted by this? It's like, oh, hold on, dude, seriously.
Yeah.
No one's going to take you seriously in this.
This is a way cooler outfit right here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to need a costume designer because this is not working out for you.
Okay. Well, I hope that was a good primer for you Skywalkers. I know I learned a lot. I find it really interesting to hear the history of this character because I actually knew nothing about it before Captain America Civil War.
I knew a little bit about him, but I didn't know anything about his powers, where he came from, which is why I thought it was important to give a background on his character before we went into the actual coverage in just a few minutes. All right, now with that, let's give away some stuff.
Woohoo! Let's give away some Black Panther Funko Pops and a Black Panther hat. I'm so excited. So we have 2 giveaways for you Skywalkers. And now the first giveaway, number 1, is to become a new subscriber to our YouTube channel. So head over to youtube.com/skywalking through Neverland and click on that subscribe button, and you will be automatically entered to win a Black Panther Warrior Falls Funko Pop and a Black Panther movie logo hat. Woohoo! Now, Skywalkers who have already subscribed to our YouTube channel, as of last month actually, you won't be eligible to enter this, but you're still eligible to enter giveaway number 2, which is the Funko Pop Warrior Falls. So we have 2 of those. And to do that, just please go to Skywalking Pod on Twitter, the profile, and then just follow us and make sure you RT the pinned tweet. So retweet the pinned tweet, and that's it. You'll be entered to win the Black Panther Warrior Falls Funko Pop.
Some notifications just popped up on my phone that we'd already gotten a bunch of new YouTube subscribers since the beginning of our recording here.
Well, thank you, Skywalkers.
Thank you very much.
So just make sure you retweet that pinned tweet on our Skywalking Pod profile, because that's how we count who we were going to choose to win that Funko Pop.
Lots of opportunities here. All right, Sarah, with that, let's move on to our review, discussion, and breakdown of the film and press conference of Black Panther with special guest Joe Decklemeier.
You're telling me that the king of a third world country runs around in a bulletproof catsuit?
Why don't you ask him yourself? Because he's right outside. Bingo.
My king.
Stop it.
The Black Panther lives.
A war is coming. That's damn calm.
Watch me do my...
I hope you're ready, bro. Because I'm just getting started. Let's have some fun.
My son, it is your time.
Show me my respect and bow down.
You get to decide what kind of king you are going to be. Don't freeze.
I never freeze. What happens now determines what happens to the rest of the world.
A new year's already underway, and you know what that means. A full slate of Marvel Cinematic Universe films are coming our way. Now, last summer, Joseph Decklemeier from ScreenRant and that hashtag show joined us to talk about and review Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Well, now Joseph is back to talk about the next big and important film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Black Panther, which opens wide on Friday, February 16th. Now, be warned, there will be some spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Spoilers ahead.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Richard. Hey, Sarah. How you guys doing?
We are excited to talk about this film, which we've seen and digested, had time to digest, and we went to the press conference, so we are ready and geared up to talk about this, and we're excited to bring you on.
I love the Black Panther. I'm so happy that this film got made. It's so cool.
Yeah, were you a Black Panther fan or read the comic when you were a kid?
So I got into Black Panther as when I was a little older, actually. I watched Avengers, I think it was called Earth's Mightiest Heroes, an animated series. That character stood out to me. Not only was he the smartest guy in the room, but he had such a cool costume and aesthetic. And then I went back and started reading some of I think it's Christopher Priest run that they did on Black Panther, and I just kind of fell in love with the character, and it was so complex. And he's a part of the core Avengers to me. He's one of the baddest guys in the room, and I love it.
So when you got into the Black Panther, what age were you and what time frame are we looking at?
I think I was I don't want to say I was a kid. I was definitely probably 2021.
Oh, okay.
I knew who the character was by name, but I never really dove deep into the character. until I saw him in that animated show.
Okay.
And it was the best Marvel. It was the equivalent to Justice League Unlimited from Marvel.
When did it come out? Do you know?
2002, maybe 2003, something like that.
Yeah, this was when there was a big onslaught of superhero animated films coming out, and I was so lost. It's almost like the Star Wars expanded universe before Disney just wiped the slate clean. Like, I didn't know where to jump in and where do you start and who's doing what now and where, if I start with this show or this movie, how does that place in with the rest of the story? And so that's why I never got into the animated series.
Yeah, and it only lasted 2 seasons, but it was a very good show.
Now, as a kid, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, back in 1970, I was a big Black Panther fan because I loved his costume. And to me, it looked like a Batman version, a variation, because he had the Batman type of ears. I thought, okay, it's more minimalistic, doesn't have a cape, but I can run with this. And I had a lot of Black Panther comics, which I read, quote unquote read. I looked at it like a silent movie. I would have flipped through the pages, and I'd love the costumes, and I'd love the new environments, because we had never seen a place like Wakanda in any of the superhero stories. So I fell in love with the images, and that really made a huge impression on me.
Huh. Well, I should interject here that I've never had any... I never read the comics as a kid, so the closest I got to Black Panther was probably putting some kind of animal costume on my Barbie dolls. So this is my first really encounter with Black Panther. Well, Captain America Civil War was my first encounter with Black Panther.
But had you known about the character at all before?
Not really. I had no idea he came from an African nation that was supposedly more technologically advanced, anything like that. Like I had no clue at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm coming into this fresh, completely.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. And as you said, we did see Black Panther in Captain America Civil War in 2016. And now this movie here, Black Panther, is a standalone film that picks up right after the events of Civil War. So it's not an origin story, which I was very happy to hear. We do see some origins because, of course, we have to know more about the character, but it's not like the 15 incarnations of Spider-Man, where it's all an origin story.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. This film, Black Panther, takes place a week after the Vienna bombing, where T'Challa, who is Black Panther, his father died. Now, T'Challa returns home to the isolated, but as we said, very advanced African nation of Wakanda and takes his place as king. However, his title as king and the Black Panther is tested when he's drawn into a conflict by an unexpected enemy, and that puts the entire fate of Wakanda and the world at risk. So there's high stakes in this film.
Oh, this is a very dense film. So, Joe, what was your overall thoughts on Black Panther?
So I went to the premiere of the film, and I went home, and I was driving, and I was like, man, I really enjoyed this movie, but do I like it more than Winter Soldier? And after the next day, really thinking about it, yes, I think this is the best Marvel movie to date.
Wow.
It is. It has this. I think it has one of the strongest stories that is very relatable on many levels to many different people, and it highlights a lot of the strong. It highlights all the female characters, and I think the female characters, funny enough, are what really drive this film, and it gives a lot of people something more to like strive for and look to.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I guess I'll dive in here because mine kind of dovetails with yours. We saw the film, I think actually at the same time as you guys, but we were at the Walt Disney Studios.
Yes, that place is great.
Yeah, and we were in a full theater, and there was a lot of people in there just really having fun with this film. And yes, I too was struck by the girl power in this movie. There are 5 tribes within Wakanda, and each has its own clan of warriors, while Black Panther's tribe has completely an all-female, all bald-headed warriors.
Yeah, they're amazing.
And they were like really amazing when they were pitted against some of the other warriors in the other clans. So, and then of course there's Black Panther's sister, Shuri, and she was a great character just in general. And it's fun because, she was totally in charge of the technology. She was like the Q of this film. Isn't it Q in
James Bond.
James Bond movies. And even she was kind of a doctor as well. She was using the healing power of the vibranium. And then of course, Black Panther's mom, Angela Bassett, she was a big presence. She had some wisdom to impart. So I really thought that the female characters in this film, like you said, helped to drive the other characters, and yet they also had some character trajectories of their own.
Yes. Yeah. One of the other cool things that, I mean, man, the acting from everybody was spot on. It was so good. From Martin Freeman, everybody in this film, Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, they blew me away. And Michael B. Jordan, man, he is so good in this movie that it totally makes up for the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, here. Now, I think this is a fascinating story because after seeing so little of Black Panther in Civil War, I wanted to know more about him, and since there was so much going on in Civil War, we saw a little bit of T'Challa and Wakanda's history, but it was so hard to take in. Now, I think this is a great introduction into what the Black Panther is. He's not just a sole hero, but more of a title. Okay. So there can be Black Panthers going on until the end of time. Mm-hmm. It's a guardian of the small population of Wakanda. And they delved into that. When they fight, they don't just fight to fight, but there's always an honor behind it or wisdom. And I think that went a long way. And I think the film's biggest strength is definitely the connection with T'Challa and the Black Panther. Whereas in a film like Superman, you always know, well, he's going to fly away. He's going to be okay. And even Batman, you never really sense a sense of danger with him because they're always going to walk away. But with Black Panther, because the filmmaker Ryan Coogler, the director, did such a great job with conveying the story and the empathy you feel with T'Challa. You never thought, oh, wait a minute, he's just going to walk away from this. He's going to be okay. Because there are times when he doesn't really walk away. And
exactly.
Seeing the different vulnerable sides of these characters, you're so drawn in. When you see him struggling, it feels personal. And, who hasn't struggled to find their sense of identity than to be in danger of losing what you thought you had can be terrifying. So personally, on a personal level, I think this film works so well, and audiences are going to be blown away by that.
Yeah, one thing about Ryan Coogler is that guy is a masterful storyteller. Now, I saw him give a speech at Sundance, and it blew me away. It was for Fruitvale Station, and if everybody cared about their jobs as much as that guy cares about telling stories and making films, this world would be a better place. That guy is so passionate about what he does, and this really shines on screen. You can tell that he cared so much about this and giving everybody character moments and giving everybody what they expect from a Marvel film, but doing a little bit of a deeper dive when it comes to the emotional spectrum of what you're going through when you're watching this film. I think he did an amazing job.
Oh, yeah. Even with the fantastic supporting cast, you never felt like, I could do without this character or that character.
Right.
Everyone that surrounds T'Challa, I felt a connection to, and I wanted to see more of them. And I believe they can have their own standalone series or comics.
I agree.
Now, Black Panther, I believe, is to 2018 what Wonder Woman was to 2017. And it's reaching a new demographic. What are your thoughts on the importance of Black Panther?
Well, I think Black Panther kind of transcends comic book movies to me, mainly because there's obviously in this country is very divided right now over a lot of things, but this is a film that highlights what it is to be a superhero in this modern time, but having a fresh outlook. So one thing I love about this is that it highlights, one thing that was really cool, and you guys were at the press conference too, is Chadwick Boseman spoke about why he kept Black Panther's African accent. And because when he studied acting, he learned it from an English perspective, but he gave Black Panther an African accent, and it still sounds royal. Now, when it comes to the actual Black Panther character and when he was conceptualized, in the 1960s, we were obviously we were going through the civil rights movement, and I feel like this is an important story to tell because there's little kids out there that are going to look up to this guy, and this is going to be their version of Superman or whatever other character it may be. And I think this is a very important thing. I mean, this is our first Black superhero that we get in a feature film. I think that's pretty crazy to me.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you hit the nail right in the head that we do need more representation. And I love the fact that kids, I work with kids, and Sarah, we work with kids. And
yes.
I'm already seeing kids black and white going crazy over Black Panther.
And that's what I love. That's what I love is that you can see kids from any race put on a Black Panther costume and they see past his color, but they see T'Challa and what he stands for. And to me, that's what's most important. And I think Martin Freeman said it best when I interviewed him at the one-on-ones.
It's a great film because you get to a point where you don't even, or at least you don't even realize the color of the people in the film.
I think that's how it's got to. It's how it, surely that's the entire point of where we want to eventually get to, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's like someone said, you don't eat a pizza thinking, God, I'm so Italian. After a while, it just becomes pizza. It's just a thing.
Exactly.
And this film, hopefully, once the pieces have fallen, and once there are a few more films like this, it will go, oh, it's a film.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we want to get to, where you don't see the color in people. You just see, the film for what it is. And I think that's exactly what we're saying.
Right.
Hopefully.
And I think Black Panther is going to do to superhero films what Michael Jackson did in the 80s to music. Because MTV would only play a couple of black artists, and that's it. But when Michael Jackson came along and everyone loved him, they didn't see him as a black artist. They saw him as an artist. And I think that's... What's that?
As just a great artist.
A great artist that appealed to everybody. It didn't matter what color he was. And that's why I think Black Panther is so important, because kids, people, studio executives will start seeing this as a film with a black lead that will appeal to anybody. So maybe if someone comes along and says, hey, we want to do a film with a black lead, maybe by a white director, it's like, maybe not. And they'll be more accepting of it. Now, I bought Black Panther comics as a kid, and I don't remember ever seeing color or even like Falcon comics. I just loved the images and how the artist brought that to life, and that just really spoke to me. And I don't remember ever saying, hey, this is a black hero, and here's Superman, he's a white hero. I just played with them and with the toys as well as toys.
That's good.
It's kind of crazy to me, too, that this movie was made essentially they were still shooting it last year and the year before, but it's kind of crazy how relevant right now this movie is. And it's like, man, this couldn't have come out at a more perfect time. But it also is crazy to me that it's taken this long. For Wonder Woman is a great example that you brought up earlier. It took that long to get a female superhero on a big screen in a feature. That's crazy to me. Like 2017, wow. And then 2018, I mean, for the same reasons with Black Panther. It's taken this long, but with both of those films, though, I think they came out at the right time, and everything just kind of works out.
Wonder Woman has been in the works for so long, and I think it was a right decision to wait until 2017, because if it had come out any earlier, maybe that wouldn't have been the right iteration for Wonder Woman, and we wouldn't have gotten so far as we did with the Patty Jenkins version. So maybe that was a good decision there.
I see what you mean.
Right. Now, at the press conference, Angela Bassett had mentioned that she had looked at her kids when the film had ended, and that the impact on the Black Panther was really evident in the fact that they felt the spirit. They felt much taller. Now, if that can transcend into most people and most kids, and I think right there, that's a good indication of what's to come from the Black Panther.
Right.
So, interestingly enough, speaking of that, when I was at the premiere, the person that was sitting in front of us was Lando Calrissian himself, Donald Glover, the new Lando Calrissian. What? Yeah. So, but the cool thing about this was, you obviously I see Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, whatever it may be, Troy from Community, or Lando Calrissian. I see that this guy that's an accomplished guy, but seeing him fanboy out the way that I was fanboying out was like, yes, this movie. He turned back into a child And that was amazing to me to see that and hear him like cheer and scream throughout all these moments. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. It's
yeah.
impressive. But Richard, you brought up a great point. I think that Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman had to have gotten made in 2017 because I think she respected the material and they did it right. If they would have maybe done this earlier, who knows if it would have worked out or not.
Right. So now, as mentioned before, we attended the press screening for Black Panther on January 30th, and it featured the whole cast as well as super producer Kevin Feige. And so Kevin Feige, he actually spoke about why they made Black Panther right now.
I think it happens with the comics, it's happened with the movie. Ryan wrote this for the most part, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So things have happened in the world which make the film seem more relevant. There are other things in the films that have been relevant for centuries. But the truth of the matter is, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and the whole Marvel bullpen created Wakanda and created T'Challa and created the Black Panther and made him a smarter, more accomplished character than any of the other white characters in the mid-1960s. So they have the guts to do that in the mid-1960s. The least we can do is live up to that and allow this story to be told the way it needed to be told, and not shy away from things that the Marvel founders didn't shy away from in the height of the Civil Rights era.
So do we feel that this movie has lived up to that?
My biggest fear with this movie, because there was a lot of hype going into this movie based on the trailers alone, mainly because when you saw the Black Panther trailers, it had a different vibe to it. It felt more urban. It had this hip hop soundtrack over it, and it felt like something different. And living up to that hype, I got worried because I was like, well, what if this isn't as good as good as I want it to be? Because I'll be honest with you, I wasn't the biggest fan of Doctor Strange, and I wanted to really, really love it, but it was a good movie. It just wasn't. It didn't live up to my hype in my head. So I was worried about that with Black Panther. However, I think after watching Black Panther, it exceeded every single one of my expectations on so many different levels. Because you can know the story of T'Challa, you can know the story of Wakanda, you can know what happens, and you know that the Black Panther is returning for future movies. But it's the twists and turns that this movie does that are so amazing. And it's that, like you were saying, Sarah, it's those character moments with some of the supporting cast where you're blown away. Because personally, for me, Denai Guerrera's character, she had the best fight scenes out of any of the characters to me, and it shows how strong she was as a warrior. I thought this movie was incredible on just so many different levels, and I think Ryan Coogler did a great job of layering this movie to give it so much depth.
Yeah, and I gotta give big credit to Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Yeah. And I'm so glad Stan Lee is doing well and in good condition. He was just admitted into the hospital for a heart condition.
Oh my!
Yeah,
but he's all well and good. He is about 115 years old by now.
That's about right.
Now he and Jack Kirby had created this character right at the end of the civil rights movement, when that was not an easy decision to make, because you have a lot of angry people out there, and in comics or in science fiction TV shows, you can comment on society and put your commentary within the plot. But here it is, a character that symbolizes really the civil rights movement. That wasn't an easy decision.
No, and Marvel Comics has always been very cutting edge, especially during that 1960s run. They were the first comic book company, I believe, to not put the comic book approval symbol on one of their comics because it didn't get approved for whatever the cover it may have been. But there was a poll that was taken, and I believe it was the 1960s also, and which political figures and which characters influenced them the most. Up there with Dr. King and Malcolm X, the Hulk and Black Panther were on that list too. So Marvel was always kind of hitting this political and social issues through their comics, which I think is, looking back now, it's pretty crazy, because that was almost setting a trend of what comics and what media is kind of doing now. I think what Jack Kirby and Stan Lee did was quite ambitious and quite courageous. And now we're starting to see that play out on the big screen, which is affecting an even bigger audience, which, like Sarah may not have known who the Black Panther was But now you walk away thinking like, man, T'Challa is one of the best superheroes that you've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very well developed, and what a brave movement that was.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would have been that brave.
Something else that I don't want to go overlook though is that at the core of this movie though, it's all about family,
yes.
and it's all about like, you know, maintaining your respect for family and just different points of view. And I think that's so cool. Like, when's the last time we got a superhero movie that was straight up just about family? Besides Incredibles, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something to be said. There's something to be said about honor too. And I know every superhero has got their honor code, but with T'Challa, it felt more personal because he had such a small population to look after. To me, that felt more personal. Therefore, I felt a bigger connection to this character. Now, let's talk about Michael B. Jordan. You had mentioned him earlier, Joe, and I think Eric Killmonger is one of the best villains in the MCU, not because he's got an awesome name, but
he's so surprising.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I thought about that a lot. And Marvel's been criticized a lot for its its villain problem, that they don't have enough strong villains. And I don't disagree with that. I don't really disagree with that. I mean, besides Loki and Thanos, none of the other villains really have stuck around enough. But with Eric Killmonger, he reminds me so much of Baron Zemo from Civil War, the cerebral side of him, but he's physical and he knows how to get the job done because he trained as a Navy SEAL. But the thing that I like about Eric Killmonger is that I don't necessarily think he's a villain. He's more of a revolutionary, and he reminds me more of Magneto than he does anybody else.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because he has his own, character trajectory. I mean, you can definitely understand why he is taking the steps he is, and while he is maybe a villain to T'Challa, it's just because he believes in what he believes in, and that's why he's taking the steps he is, and it's completely clear in this film.
Well, he's got his own motivation,
right,
which are very well thought out, and that's the mark of a great villain, when they're so engrossed in their ideals
right,
that nothing is going to deter them, which can be a hindrance, because if they're not seeing the bigger picture outside of themselves, well, then that's the danger.
Right.
Right, and you can't totally... I feel like in a lot of ways you can sympathize with this character and you can see his point of view, definitely. So even with what transpires at the end, I almost like choked up a little bit because it was such a strong, passionate character that I don't want to see him ever leave the MCU.
Right, except when it's Johnny Storm and Fantastic Four.
Yes, correct.
Which is not really technically part of the MCU.
No.
But I'll just say Johnny Storm who? Oh yeah, that was Chris Evans, who also played Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four film.
Oh my god.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
A different Fantastic Four film?
This was, another reboot of Fantastic Four back in 2005.
Oh boy.
Chris Evans played Johnny Storm, and, which is why I was surprised they brought him back for Captain America. But you know what? Good choice on their part.
Yeah.
You want to hear a fun fact about Captain America?
Yes.
Chris Evans wasn't the original choice for Captain America. I don't know if you guys know that or not.
Who was it?
Chris Hemsworth.
So there were 3 top actors that they had their eye on. Chris Evans was one of them. The other 2, though, were people you wouldn't expect. It was John Krasinski from The Office.
What?
Yeah, so, and I'll tell you a story about it. So it's John Krasinski from The Office, and it was Jensen Ackles from Supernatural. And what ended up happening was they wanted to get Emily Blunt to play Peggy Carter. And she couldn't do it because of scheduling conflicts. Actually, I'm sorry. They wanted her to play Black Widow, but she couldn't do it because of scheduling conflicts. And then they wanted her to play Peggy Carter, but since John Krasinski didn't get the role, she turned it down. And then what ended up happening is they actually cast Jensen Ackles. However, Supernatural wouldn't let him out of his contract, so he couldn't take it. And I had a friend that was working at ScreenRant that actually talked to Jensen Ackles about this, and he told him straight up that it was a contract thing. And I believe, I don't know if it's still there, but when you walk through the Marvel offices, there's still a concept art of Jensen Ackles' face in the Captain America suit.
Wow, so it wouldn't have been one of the Hollywood Chris's.
Would have destroyed everything.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, earlier you had mentioned that you'd done some one-on-ones with the cast. Aside from Martin Freeman, were there any other fun nuggets that you had gotten out of them? And which one of them seemed more fan-friendly?
Well, all of them were great. First of all, when you walk in with Martin Freeman and Andy Serkis, I almost completely forgot both of those guys were in The Hobbit. I completely forgot about it. But they were in there playing music, blaring music on their phones. And when you walk in, and they were just there to have fun. I did ask Lupita Nyong'o about if Maz Kanata, if we ever get to see the story of how Maz Kanata got Luke's lightsaber, but she did not answer that question. But she was fun about it, though. She says it's a possibility we could see it in episode 9, but who knows?
Oh, there's a fun nugget.
Yeah, but I mean, she could have just been pulling my leg. But I really hope that happens. Ryan Coogler actually talked about the challenges of making. So when T'Challa becomes Black Panther in the comics, he's still a young man. He's probably in his early 20s. In this movie, he's a full-grown adult. He said that was the most difficult thing to hammer down with the character and going forward in the MCU. And when I talked to Winston Duke, who plays M'Baku, who, funny enough, when I first saw the character, he's the guy that challenges Black Panther first for the throne.
Right.
I was like, man, they're really promoting this character, but he's barely in the movie. But then, obviously, towards the end, he has a big pivotal role. Mm-hmm. That character is a lot different than his comic book counterpart. And he talked about how Ryan Coogler went to each actor and kind of crafted each character the way that they would be in the modern form. Who else did I talk to? Oh, Shuri, Letitia Wright.
Yeah, how is she?
I think she's a breakout star, number one. I think that she is my favorite character in the film.
Yeah.
You know what? I will go on record by seconding that.
Yes.
Yeah, she's so good in this movie.
She's T'Challa's sister.
Yeah, T'Challa's younger sister who gives her big brother that kind of like that little hassle. But I love that their sibling rivalry and their sibling love for each other. But she taught me the handshake that she does with T'Challa, and she mentioned that I asked her because. Do you guys know the theory about Shuri's character going forward into the MCU?
No.
Okay. So there's a theory going around, and now I think that this can be completely true, is that once after Avengers 4 happens, that Shuri is going to take over as Iron Man using that Ironheart character, which was just introduced into the comics. Now, it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Her name is Shuri, and the new character in Ironheart is Riri. Like Riri Williams. But not only that, Riri Williams, who was just introduced, is supposed to be the smartest teenager in the MCU. And this is when Tony Stark goes into a coma and Tony Stark becomes her AI. If everything goes according to that, then they could combine the Shuri character with Riri Williams and have her become the new Iron Man or Ironheart, with Robert Downey Jr. really only having to do the AI.
Wow. What's funny about that is when we walked out of the film, Richard and I said to each other, what if Shuri and Tony Stark met to compare notes over their technology?
Yes. So, have you guys seen you guys have seen the Infinity War trailer, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All of them.
And have you guys read any of the synopsis of certain things that happen in the film? I don't want to spoil it if you haven't.
No, I want to stay away from that until May 4th.
Well, Shuri's definitely in the film, and she plays an important role. So I can definitely see that happening.
Wow. I'm trying to take that in. I think they could have picked a better actress, too, because she really came across as a very smart teen without being precocious or full of herself or too much like Tony Stark. You could tell she really was a teenager and knew what she knew.
Yes. And even so much that I love this character so much, too, because she had that kind of quick wit and that snark that Tony Stark has. And she makes all these different Black Panther suits. It was very reminiscent of seeing Tony Stark make all these different Iron Man suits and all this tech.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and the fact that when they were talking about going to America, she said, I thought we were going to go to Coachella.
Yes, I love
or
that.
Disneyland. She said Disneyland, but everyone was laughing so hard at the Coachella line that you couldn't hear it.
You know what? I did not hear her say going to Disneyland.
I didn't hear that either.
Yeah, she says it. I caught the end of Eland, and so it must. I mean, I'm assuming she says Disneyland right after Coachella.
I didn't notice that. That's awesome.
That's a good way of grounding that character because she's got the hand on the teen pulse.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see her in the future.
So in the post-credit scenes, something that really jumped out at me, and the second one seemed a little out of place with Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. But what if that's foreshadowing for the future MCU that since Captain America and Iron Man aren't taking each other's phone calls right now, what if that's the future Captain America and Iron Man after Avengers 4, and like they have a good relationship right now?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow, they're really thinking ahead then.
Well, the one thing that I love about what Marvel is doing, and Richard, you brought this up earlier, is that the Black Panther is a mantle. It's getting passed down from person to person. And one thing that Marvel Comics hasn't always executed as well is the legacy characters. DC has done a great job of integrating the different Robins for Batman, whereas Marvel hasn't necessarily done that, even passing the torch to who was the current Captain America as of 6 months ago was like the Falcon. But now it's Steve Rogers again. I think that Marvel has a very tough time of passing that torch along because some of these characters are so iconic now. Now, I mean, obviously we have Miles Morales running around as Spider-Man, so we have 2 Spider-Mans, but I feel that now in the cinematic version, we're going to get a better sense of them using legacy characters, which I really like.
I think you've hit the nail right in the head moving forward with Marvel, because they are releasing that new Spider-Man animated film where it's not Peter Parker anymore. So they're getting kids used to the fact that just because it's the suit, that does not mean it's the same person inside. And I think we're starting to see that become the norm, because at some point it's not going to be cost effective to keep on having Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. Yeah, as much as these films make, it's like, got to keep paying him how much, then how much on top of that?
Yeah.
So, which is why I don't think Iron Man's going to make it out of Infinity War.
Ooh.
I know. I actually kind of have to agree with you. I got to agree with you. And that's the great thing about hiring somebody also like Tom Holland, who says he wants to play Spider-Man until he's in his 40s, where he can have that. In the comics currently, he has his own like corporation. He wants to play Spider-Man all the way to get to that level, and then bring in the Miles Morales character cinematically. And I think that's a brilliant idea. Yeah. Because going forward into the MCU, let's just say we do have a new Captain America, a new Iron Man, and a new Thor. Well, what if Thor is Valkyrie? And what if the new Iron Man / Iron Heart is Shuri? And what if Captain America is either the Falcon or the Winter Soldier? I mean, it could be really cool. We could be looking at a completely different Marvel universe in the next 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and instead of recasting the actors, they just do it this way, and it's a very smooth transition that we're very accepting of.
Right.
And you know what? Something that's interesting in this film, too, and we don't ever necessarily see it, is, I'm jumping around a little bit, but we talked about Eric Killmonger and about how strong that character is. We never see him die. He does have the best line in the movie, though, where T'Challa tells him, "I can save you," and he says, "Why? So I can be your prisoner?" And he says, "Bury me in the sea with my ancestors," because they knew that death was better than bondage.
Right.
Which was a very powerful line, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we never see him die, so who's to say that he's not in some Wakandan prison and they did save him?
Yeah. However, I'm of the belief if we see a character believed to be dead, let's keep it that way, because then you never feel empathy for that character.
Or you never feel fear for them. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. And I guess you're right, because it also does give less impact to that film when you see him return in a sequel and you're like, oh, well, you know what I mean? I get that.
Yeah. I think there's so much going on with Black Panther, and I really hope audiences see this film in droves, because it is important on so many different levels, with kids, with adults, with just acceptance and representation. Now, unfortunately, with the good, there's always the bad. Because there are these DC groups out there that are trying to sink Black Panther on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, boy.
Now, this is something I found on ScreenRant, of all places. And I found this article that says a group of DC fans plan to strike back at Marvel and Disney by posting horrible reviews on Rotten Tomato in retaliation for what they believe was unfair treatments toward Justice League.
Oh, I have a question about this, actually. No, did they have any? Did they do this for Last Jedi at all? I didn't hear about this.
Yes, because heaven forbid you have a black hero, you have an Asian heroine. Oh no, this can't be done, and
that's
because
ridiculous.
The film didn't align with what they believe to be true. Like, well, you know what? This is my film, so I'm going to go and I'm going to sink it because you guys did not go into my head and you didn't make my movie. So, you know what? An eye for an eye. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to sink you.
Ugh. And they even plan on posting spoilers of Black Panther to ruin the experience for fans. But doesn't that mean they see it and watch it?
That's fact, yeah.
But they may take away from another fan or another casual audience member who may say, you know what, I was going to see Black Panther, but I'm seeing all these negative reviews and I already know about the twist, so why bother?
See, I think the thing that disappoints me the most about this situation is that growing up as a fan, as a geek essentially, is that it was a very small community. And I mean, I feel like our generation is the generation that got picked on and called nerds because we liked things that were outside the box. And now it's the cool generation. So we were pioneers when it comes to geekdom. Yeah. However, it's when you go into situations like this, I think, like, can't we all just be supportive of each other's geekdoms? I mean, just first of all, how cool is it that we're getting so many superhero movies? Like, I don't care if it's Wonder Woman, Justice League, Black Panther. Like, this is my dreams coming true when I was a little kid. And I feel that, like, why can't we forget about DC and Marvel? Can't we just support it all?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's such ownership over these franchises. And once again, if you're not going to make what's inside of one particular fan's head, they're gonna retaliate. And now they have something to go on, like the internet, which has all these platforms for them to complain.
Right.
It's dangerous. It's toxic. But you know what? I think Black Panther is going to land on his feet. I think the movie is going to do just fine. I think that the cool thing about this movie, though, is that you don't have to be a fan of a superhero film, nor do you have to know anything else about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You can go in and watch this movie and it's complete standalone. Now, the great thing about it is if you do know about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this does act as a sequel to Civil War, almost in a direct sequel to Civil War. So I think that there's a lot going here. Now, I wish that things like this didn't happen. Now, has Rotten Tomatoes said they're going to do anything about this?
Oh, yeah. They're now going to monitor more of their films and reviews, and if they see anything like a hate speech or too many people saying the same thing, and they can see a pattern, they will kick that person off of Rotten Tomatoes and delete their account.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Now, let's also note that there is one DC group that is raising money to send kids from the Bronx to see the Black Panther.
Aww.
Now,
that's awesome.
That is, and I love this. I love this how different factions of a group of a fan base is saying, "Hey, you know what? You'll do this. Well, we're gonna counter that by doing something good."
Yeah.
And over 100 campaigns have joined #Black Panther Challenge, and they have raised over $100,000.
Wow, to help kids see Black Panther.
Kids, raise money and buy out theaters so kids can see the Black Panther.
That's awesome.
Octavia Spencer jumped in there, and she's got a ton of followers, and people are starting to take notice of this great campaign.
Wow. What message or theme do you think that kids or audiences will walk away with once they see it?
You know what? I think it really depends on who you are, because if you're a young girl watching this movie, you can either want to become the Black Panther, or you could be Shuri or any of the other strong female characters in there. And I think that there's a character for everybody, really. Like for me, I related most to Shuri. Like I think that character is my character. But it really depends on who you are. You mean if you're a kid of a different ethnicity, you can walk a little bit prouder because this is representation on screen. It doesn't really matter who you are, to be honest with you, regardless of who you are. I think it's just a good movie that teaches you about family, and it teaches you about what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, like I was saying earlier, it'll really teach kids about honor.
Yes, absolutely.
And supporting one another, especially your family. And seeing Black Panther fight to defend his title, kids will realize this character is not just fighting to fight, but there is a motivation behind it. And those two scenes where T'Challa has got to defend his title, I think speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm. And I also love the fact that kids can really take away with this to listen to the people that surround you, listen to your family. I mean, T'Challa took all kinds of advice from all the people that surrounded him, from his dad to his mom to his sister. And Lupita Nyong'o, I just love to hear her talk. So let's hear what she has to say about what she wants little girls to walk away with after seeing this movie.
Well, I would say what I love about the way this film represents women is that each and every one of us is an individual, unique, and we all have our own sense of power and our own agency, and we hold our own space without being pitted against each other. And I think that's a very, very powerful message to send to children, both male and female. This idea, I think oftentimes in movies we fall into that trap where women, there's very few of us, and then we are against each other. There's a competitive spirit and stuff like that. And this film frees us of that. And we see women going about their business and supporting each other, even arguing with each other, you know, having different points of view, but still not being against each other. And I think that's extremely important. And in so doing, the fact that in this film there's so many of us, we really get a sense of the fabric of Wakanda as a nation. And we see women alongside men, and we see how much more effective a society can be if they allow women to explore their full potential.
Another cool thing about this was that we've talked about the strong female characters, but how supportive the men are of having strong female characters. Like, T'Challa totally backs up his sister, and you guys saw in the press conference where he's like, I allow her to be smarter, and it's like he didn't mean it like he allows it to happen. Mm-hmm. It's like that's her realm to be smarter than. And so I thought that was really cool. And you're right. I didn't even think about that, Sarah. Is that T'Challa takes the input of the people around him and kind of forms his own decision, and he doesn't just go off and do the stubborn thing of like, no, I'm king and this is what I'm going to do. He actually listens to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest appeals for me for the series The Flash, because it's not just one hero calling all the shots, but he does have a whole support team around him, and it is Team Flash. It's not just Flash. He can't do it by himself. Mm-hmm. And I think the same way for T'Challa.
Yeah.
Another thing that this movie teaches you is sharing, because at the end of this, we figure out that now Wakanda is going to open its doors to helping other nations and showing other nations, trying to be the standard bearer of what other nations should be. And I think that now that with them saying that, hey, you know, we have this vibranium and we're going to help all these other people out, I think that that's a very important message also.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that's the overall writing message of the film. Like, if you have something that will help other people, well, don't just hoard it. You know, share it with the world, and maybe the whole world can be better.
I think the tagline for this film should be Sharesy Daresy.
Sharesy Daresy.
Yeah, because the tagline they have right now gives away a plot twist.
What is it?
Long live the king.
Long live the king.
Ah.
And they said before the screening, don't tell anyone about the big twist. It's like, well, you already did in the tagline.
Yeah, I'm surprised that like a good hashtag was Forever Wakanda. Is people using that? Wakanda Forever?
We will now.
That would be good too.
Yeah. And to add on to that, it's not just about your group here. It is about looking at the bigger picture, which I think people just don't do these days. They're not looking at the bigger picture and how your act of kindness and sharing can really benefit so many people. It's not just about me, but if I look out, I can see, hey, if I share this, if I do this, it's going to benefit millions of people and not just one person.
Yeah. Pay it forward.
You know, exactly. You know, somebody that we haven't talked about though is Claw.
Ooh.
Oh, Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis was amazing. Now, I asked him at the one-on-ones, if playing him in Age of Ultron gave him an advantage of playing him in Black Panther, and it said it did, mainly because he got to understand who the character was. But in Black Panther, you can see that he's definitely vocal. He's more courageous as a villain. I feel like he's more in your face, and I feel that it almost reminded me a little bit of like the Joker, kind of the way he played him. But I loved the fact though that Claw was a different type of villain than Killmonger. and
right.
it gave you a bit of diversity even when it came to the villains of the piece. And I also like what happens to Claw. Actually, really surprised me. I didn't think that was going to happen so quick, or at all, actually.
Well,
yeah, me too.
He gets one of the top billings, and he's on the poster.
Uh-huh.
And the first 20 minutes, well, bye, Claw. And I was hoping to see more of him because I just love hearing his voice.
Yeah. Well, he and Martin Freeman were a kick at the press conference, so when they finally got to talk.
Yeah. All right, Joe, let's wrap it up there. And this has been a great discussion on all things Black Panther. Now, if the Skywalkers want to reach out to you, how can they do that?
You can hit me up on Twitter at that hashtag Joe. That is all spelled out ThatHashJoe. That's on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me there. And you can check me out on that hashtag show and at ScreenRant.com.
Can you tell people what you have coming up or what you're going to be doing soon?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to Atlanta for something which I'm not told about, and that's in a couple days. I have no idea why I'm going to Atlanta, but I'm getting sent to Atlanta.
Wait a minute, aren't the Marvel Studios in Atlanta?
They are, so I'm
film a lot there.
I'm hoping that it has something to do with that. I'm hoping. But then the week after that, I'm going to Mexico for the home video release of Coco.
Woohoo!
Oh my goodness, that's going to be a nonstop party.
Yeah, we're going to Mexico City and Oaxaca. So they did tell us that it was going to be a lot of sightseeing, a lot of eating, and some drinking.
Maybe you should reverse that.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you very much, and we look forward to having you in the future because I think there's another 1, 2, or 20 Marvel films coming our way.
Thanks, guys. It's a lot of fun being on the show. You guys are doing a killer job, and I can't wait to talk more about Marvel. Excellent.
Well, there's more Marvel movies coming out, so I'm sure we'll have you on.
The revolution will be live.
Now, let's clarify a couple of things from our Black Panther discussion you just heard. We brought up the name Johnny Storm a few times. Now, for those of you who do not know who he is, Johnny Storm was part of the Fantastic Four and could transform himself into the Human Torch. And Michael B. Jordan, who played Eric Killmonger in Black Panther, he played the Human Torch in the 2015 Josh Trank reboot of Fantastic Four.
Okay.
And after seeing the film, we now know why he was fired from doing any future Star Wars movies.
Oh.
But now, in 2005, Chris Evans, a.k.a. Captain America, he also played the Human Torch in the very first theatrical Fantastic Four reboot. So at this point, there were 2 Fantastic Four theatrical reboots.
Wow.
And then Chris Evans played him again in 2007's Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Which I remember liking that film.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for superhero films, so I had a good time with it. Now, as a side note, my old friend Jay Underwood, he played Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, in the unreleased 1994 Fantastic Four film produced by Roger Corman.
Wow, that's... Jay?
Jay Underwood, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And if you had not seen this Roger Corman unreleased film, you can get it on YouTube. You can get it everywhere.
Oh, really?
It's really fun. It's fun and it's cheesy. And their interpretation of the Thing is really good. The costume is fantastic. And while working in the creature effects business, I got to see it up close. It is really, really well made.
Aww.
I kind of prefer that over the Michael Chiklis Thing version.
Okay.
So hope that clarifies who Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, was.
Flame on!
Now with that, let's move on to shoutouts.
Shoutouts. Skywalker shoutouts. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout out. Who was photobombed? Shout out. Who was shared a post? Shout out.
All right, for shout-outs, we are going to head to Twitter. And I want to give a big shout-out to Rob P. Strickland. That's at Rob P. Strickland on Twitter. He says, "Thank you for all your awesome podcasts that make my commute bearable. Keep up the great work. May the Force be with you."
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And I know you're a new Tweetwalker, so I want to welcome you to Skywalking Through Neverland.
Yeah. And Rob, let us know what it is that you like about the show, some things that you don't care for. Trying to do market research, see what people are interested in, and what segments they don't prefer. Be honest. That's all we're asking for.
Okay. All right. Also on Twitter. Now, last week's episode 201, we interviewed D. Tales, who, of course, played many of the creatures in these latest Star Wars films.
Androids,
including Slow and Low. So I just want to give a shout out to @Galaxy Orion 17, whose name is Orion Dearden, and they tweeted, "If Slow and Low had a cup of tea, I'm guessing his favorite sugar brand would be Sweet and Low."
Wah, wah, wah. And Slow and Low is the character from The Last Jedi who ratted out Finn and Rose to the Canto Bight police.
He was parking enforcement.
He was the one running him out, and later voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yep.
Using a very peculiar Southern accent for some reason.
Yes, and we are actually going to get into details playing this character and more on an upcoming episode.
That will tie into the Last Jedi DVD Blu-ray release.
Ooh.
There's a lot of scenes that Dee had shot in Canto Bight that was never that didn't make it into the final cut of the film.
All right, and now we have one more tweet, and that is from Glenn Stein. And he tweeted a Skywalker selfie. Now, we love it, Skywalkers, when you tweet #Skywalker selfie on Twitter. And this is what Glenn Stein tweeted. "Normally, I listen to Skywalking Through Neverland on the drive to from Nashville. Today, it's on the flight to Nashville." So he tweeted a picture of himself. He's wearing his Run Disney I Did It Star Wars Half Marathon shirt, and he's just very excited to be listening. So stop what you're doing right now, get out your phone, take a selfie, click, and then tweet at us @SkywalkingPod and use the #Skywalker selfie.
Extra bonus points if you can include your pet.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Want to see the Skywalker pets.
All right, now, for this last shout out, I am going to head over to the Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook group, which is a closed group on Facebook that you can join. Now, Missy Kaya posted a picture of her granddaughter who is playing with her Endor Leia Forces of Destiny doll, and they're in an IHOP restaurant. And she wrote, "Endor Leia is riding her speeder bike to deliver IHOP sugar to the Cran Ewoks."
You know what you call this picture right here?
What?
Product placement.
Yes, indeed.
Endor Leia is holding an IHOP packet of sugar. That's product placement.
So apparently, Missy Kaya's granddaughter loves playing with her Endor Leia, and this is a little anecdote that they shared with us. So, Kaya, upon preparing to leave Disneyland for the night, "When we get to the hotel, can I play with my Forces of Destiny dolls?" And her grandmother, "Sure, it was nice of Adam and Bobby to get you Jin and Rey, and you can use the gift card to buy the only one you don't have, Endor Leia." And Kaya says, "Yes, Endor Leia is so cool. You can change her clothes so she can be Outdoor Leia." All while Kaya was wearing an Ewok shirt with the word Endor right on it.
I get it. Endor, outdoor, indoor, outdoor. That's some funny stuff there. And then Adam Medina chimes in, "Kaya, your Star Wars card is revoked."
Isn't that amazing? So only on our Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook group can you get these fun stories, unless of course you're listening now. But if you want to join and get to know other Skywalkers, you can head over to Facebook, search Skywalking Through Neverland group, request to join, and then answer the questions that pop up.
All right, good deal. Now, this week there unfortunately is no Skywalker of the Week because Rob Dellinger is out with his band Alpha Rhythm Kings, and he has been touring like crazy. So just couldn't carve out the time to do the Skywalker of the Week, and he apologizes for that. Now, let's give a couple of Rob Dellinger Alpha Rhythm Kings tour dates.
Yes. So on February 15th, he will be in Walnut Creek, California. On February 23rd, he will be in San Francisco. And moving on to March 16th, he'll be in Santa Barbara, California. And on March 17th, he'll be in San Luis Obispo, California. So please check out his website, alpharhythmkings.com, for more dates and further details, because as the time goes on, he'll probably be adding a few more dates as he books gigs.
And if you can make it to any of his gigs, get a selfie of you on the dance floor with Rob Dellinger in the background, and we'll compile these selfies and maybe do a special contest.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then Rob loves this when you start requesting things like Mouse Droid Mixer, Skywalker of the Week, the Kenner Remix song,
Skywalker shoutouts.
He loves it when you do that. All right, Sarah, unfortunately, it's time to wrap up the show.
That wraps up episode 202 of
Skywalking Through Neverland.
We would like to thank Joe Decklemeier for coming back on the show.
Now go check out his show, That Hashtag Show, on YouTube, and look him up on ScreenRant. He's got a lot of great one-on-ones with the cast of The Last Jedi and Black Panther, and just about every film that comes out to a theater near you.
Woohoo!
And, of course, we want to thank all you Skywalkers who listen every single week and post and reach out to us. We love you all, especially today because it's Valentine's Day.
Woohoo! Share the love. All right, as a reminder, we have our Black Panther Funko Pop contests going on right now, our giveaways. So head over to Twitter to enter that giveaway, or head over to youtube.com/skywalkingthrough-neverland and hit that subscribe button. You'll be entered to win a Black Panther Warrior Falls Funko Pop. Now, we are part of retrozap.com, where you can find articles like MCU Location Scout. This is where Jovial J, he digs deep to uncover the real-world filming locations behind your favorite superhero films of the MCU, from Iron Man to Inhumans and everything in between. It's really fun article series.
Great. And you can also catch shows over there at retrozap.com like Brews and Blasters,
Warp Trails,
Beltway Banthas,
The Deuce Cast Movie Show,
Starship Sabers and Scoundrels,
Kanata's Castle,
Techno Retro Dads.
And if DC is your thing, you can catch Scarlet Velocity and all those fun shows that follow the DC Marvel universe.
Oh, don't say that.
The DCCW universe.
Redact.
I know. The DCCW universe.
Okay. And you can also catch Talking Apes.
Wait a minute. Did you just put out a show?
Yes. Why, yes, we did. We did put out a show where we talked with Bobby Porter, who was in Battle for the Planet of the Apes, as well as the Planet of the Apes TV series. Now, if you go over there to YouTube, to have a happy Valentine's Day, and then exclusive Planet of the Apes video that we had shot at the special 50th anniversary of Planet of the Apes. And it was so cool because we had gone there with Bobby Porter, just as friends.
Yeah.
He's now a friend. If you had told an 8-year-old Rich that he'd be hanging around with Cornelius, I wouldn't know what to do, how to react. But we had gone to this special ape screening, and there was a great legacy panel with people speaking from the original films to the most recent War for the Planet of the Apes. Mm-hmm. And there was a special guest, Dr. Zaius.
He crashed the panel?
He crashed the panel.
And you have that all on our YouTube channel.
On an exclusive video on our YouTube channel.
So once again, head to youtube.com/skywalkingthrough-neverland. Plug.
Now that I mention it, I didn't see Dr. Zaius and actor-comedian Dana Gould in the same room.
What?
I didn't see them in the same... Anyway, all right, let's move on.
Well, you can find Skywalking Through Neverland at jedinews.co.uk and fanthatracks.com.
And if they want to reach out to us on social media, Sarah, well, they can always go to Twitter at SkywalkingPod.
And Instagram, same, at SkywalkingPod. And you can join our Facebook group. Just search Facebook for Skywalking Through Neverland. You can also email us. We are share@skywalkingthrough-neverland.com.
And you know what? Okay, Skywalker favorite time. We want someone to post an iTunes review. Not going to tell you to do 5 stars. Be honest, because right now the first review is from some guy who says that we're too positive. and gave us 1 star for being too positive.
Wow.
So let's knock that one down a couple of pegs, okay? So, Skywalkers, if you could cherish us with a Valentine gift of an iTunes review, that would be fantastic.
Aww.
All right, make it honest. Once again, we're not going to tell you to do 5 stars because we want you to be honest, okay? But let's just knock this guy down a couple of pegs. Too positive. To you.
All right, so stay tuned for bits of conversation and fun little discussions that didn't make it to our main show, and that'll be right after the credits of this episode.
So listen to that, and always remember...
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said.
I did it!
Got a cue and some sounds.
Rawr. How fun are these? Oh my gosh! Rawr.
Yeah, as you can tell, when we get into something, we really get into something.
Black Panther.
All right, now we are recording this on... Gotta turn off my phone first. Now, we are recording from Long Beach, California on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2008. Happy Valentine's.
2008?
2018.
What?
I'm sorry, my phone is very distracting. All right, I'm living in the past. In the past when the Black Panther movie was just a twinkle in the eye of Wesley Snipes. But again, more on that in just a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But first, you know what? Thinking about Valentine's Day.
Yes.
We were dating about a month before we hit our first Valentine's.
So, you know, let's start this again because you were distracted.
Yeah, I was very distracted.
Okay. So start the we are recording.
And I went to the premiere of Last Jedi also, and I thought in my head, okay, well maybe I love this film so much because I'm overwhelmed by the experience that I've gotten.
Wait, which one did you love? The Last Jedi?
Both of them. I loved both of them. And I still stand by The Last Jedi. To me, it is one of the best Star Wars movies ever made. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
But for Black Panther...
I agree with you. I mean, seeing Wonder Woman, too, like, I did the same thing. And I wished it was out when I was a kid. Because, you know, Superman was, like, my favorite superhero when I was a kid. But I think Wonder Woman would have trumped him.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm more of a Wonder Woman guy now than I am any other DC character. I love that character.
End, really, of the Civil War movement?
Oh, well, the Civil Rights movement. The Civil War movement would have been in the 1800s.
Yeah. Right.